One Angry Black Republican podcast. Welcome to One Angry Black Republican podcast, where morality challenges extremism. I'm your host, BWC, and today's argument is entitled Just Say No. The BidenMurphy Lgbtq education mandate. Talking points. Number 1. The BidenMurphy Lgbtq education agenda is a blue state-city affair that will continue to tear America right down the middle. Number 2. American parents have more power than is being exercised, and now more than ever is the time to seriously unite. Number 3. The New Jersey Just Say No parent cry. Number 4. The time is now to put a stop to the LGBTQ agenda. Let's stop it right in its tracks. And number 5. Solutions. Teacher autonomy in the classroom. It is important to mention from the outset that today's podcast marks the season 3 opener of One Angry Black Republican, the podcast where morality challenges extremism. Let's go. So, it was during the 80s and early 90s when former First Lady Nancy Reagan launched one of the most successful advertising campaigns in American history. One that gave us the simple demand, just say no. Now, unfortunately, her campaign was part of what her husband, former President Ronald Reagan, continued during his administration, and echoing to the 1970s Richard Nixon campaign, the war on drugs. Now, let's be clear, One Angry Black Republican is totally against the idea of a so-called war on drugs. This idea, in our view, is a sort of dog whistle to a war on black people, which was completely egregious, and any mentioning of the concept today will undoubtedly be connected to that reality, which is why we urge former President Trump to abandon the idea of advocating the death penalty for drug dealers. We will not allow a reboot of a policy that was responsible for interrupting the lives of millions of black people across the United States. We stand opposed to any such course of action. With that declarative statement, let's move on. First order of business, the BidenMurphy education mandate, which in the end analysis will force New Jersey teachers to include LGBTQ studies in every academic discipline as early as kindergarten. My direct question to the New Jersey parent is simple. Should sexuality be taught to kindergartners? Or should this conversation be left for the parents to teach? Let Murphy tell the narrative, absolutely, as demonstrated by the signing of this mandate in 2019. Murphy isn't alone in this effort. President Biden has made it no secret that his administration plans to advocate for the LGBTQ agenda in every way possible. What is interesting is that nearly all big blue states and cities are completely behind this LGBTQ agenda. When this mandate was issued, there was already a full LGBTQ curriculum and 12 cities, blue cities, already on deck to implement this curriculum into the school systems, their school systems. So for the past year, this past school year, this pilot curriculum was taught in these districts in New Jersey. This in spite of the fact that millions of parents throughout New Jersey, namely in red cities, stood diametrically opposed to this mandate. This begs the question, why would Murphy sign such a mandate when half of the state he was hired to govern did not sign on. Pun intended. Yet another glaring example of the ever-growing divide in America that has the potential to lead to an all-out culture war that could turn violent. This is why there is a need for parents throughout the state of New Jersey and the country to come together and push back in unity, especially in education, where parents have more power than they have been exercising in recent years. I remember one of my favorite movies of all time, Lean on Me, when the parent, Miss Barrett, became outraged by the actions of Patterson's East Side High principal, Joe Clark, in kicking out every child that had been wreaking havoc on the school. All of them were expelled immediately. Miss Barrett demonstrated the sheer power of the parent advocate as she was successful in having him arrested for violating the fire code by chaining the doors of the school in an effort to keep out the criminal element that was preying on his scholars. We need the Miss Barretts of New Jersey to unite today and stand in complete opposition to the BidenMurphy education mandate. How can we begin this organizing effort? Well, we can, as Nancy Reagan said in the 80s, just say no. We must stop this agenda right in its tracks. Now, one solution to this travesty of justice that can accompany the parent cry of just saying no is to support teacher autonomy in the classroom. Giving teachers the full curricular autonomy to assess the students they are working with and design a curricular that will best suit the children and families they are servicing is the most expeditious way of putting roadblocks in the way of the BidenMurphy outrage. Teachers and parents would have the power to determine what is appropriate to discuss in school and what is not. We will undoubtedly witness a divide in the state and country around this issue. Now again, for the sake of clarity, one angry black Republican is not against the LGBTQ community practicing whatever it wants. We are only interested in the agenda staying out of our schools and away from our children, away from our kindergartners. So just say no to this mandate. It is critical to say no. Thank you for participating in the Season 3 opener of One Angry Black Republican. Tune in next week, or next time, you might go a little earlier, as we tackle the border crisis in America. Just say no. Peace out.